Welcome to the Budding Author Podcast with me, your host, Simon Ward. Today's interview is going to be a very interesting one, close to my heart. We've got a scientist, engineer, and award-winning sci-fi author with a quality American name. We have Torn MacAlester. Great. Now, is that your real name, or did you?
It's a pseudonym that I chose
Got you.
for my writing. The main reason is to separate my science fiction from the science writing that I've done in the past, and you know, though interesting, I'm sure to a lot of people. I figure it would kind of confuse them to see all these very highly technical papers under my name, and
yeah, that's it. You got to keep things separate, haven't you? Obviously, sci-fi is your thing. Now,
yes,
with sci-fi, you're either talking about space and the first contact, or sort of robots and AI. My work so far in my adult fiction that I did was in the robots and robots and AI. You're firmly in the other camp, aren't you, Torn?
yes, I am. However, I am thinking about how robots and AI fit into the space and colonization type activities. So
Yeah, I think
in the
AI.
future, I'll probably be adding those into my stories, but at this point, it's mainly a human drama.
Yeah, the Thunder Moon Tussle. That was your debut creation.
Yes.
How's that been going?
Uh, Poorly in terms of sales, but those who have read it are really give me a lot of positive feedback. So
Yeah,
I'm really encouraged by that feedback. It's just that
I think it's so difficult to gain traction as a new author, isn't it?
yeah, oh, absolutely.
There's so many books out there, and like similarly, I've had some good reviews, but I'd just like another 100 or 200 or so. That'd be nice.
yeah, exactly.
I'm not bothered about sales. I just want reviews. Be buying reviews. That would be a bit wrong to do that. I just want people to write like similar to yourself. You just want people to read your stuff and enjoy your
yeah,
stories.
exactly.
What got you into writing, Torn?
Well, my age actually made me a child at the time of Apollo, and so I was just very uh, taken aback by science to begin with. And then after Apollo ended, the only thing left that really captivated my interest was Star Trek went into syndication, the original series, and so I've kind of been a sci-fi nut as a result of that. And then
So you're definitely
later on, I started
you're more
writing
on the
my own
Star Wars.
stories.
You're more on the Star Wars or Star Trek then? Star Trek.
I'm Star Trek, but both of them have actually become more like Star Wars over the years.
Yeah.
There's not much distinction between the two,
Do you remember?
and
Do you
both are
remember?
fun in different ways.
Do you remember a couple of shows? I think Space 1999 and
Yes, I
Blake
remember that.
7. You remember those?
Black Seven I never saw, but Space 1999 went into syndication when I was
Yeah,
in
that was
high
more of
school.
an I think Blake 7 was an English one, I think.
Yeah, I think it was, and I think I've heard of it, and it had been running on public television and uh, uh, later on, but I just didn't have time to watch it at the time.
Yeah.
I think I was in college at the time.
Yeah, before we came on air, we were talking about sort of before. This is a difficult one for the younger viewers to sort of take a grasp of, really. But
Hmm.
writing before the PC was a whole different world, wasn't it?
Yes, it was incredibly different. You were either writing by hand or writing using a typewriter. Typewriter was insane because you type the wrong key and it would leave you completely uh, in a mess because the process of deleting what you just written was a challenge.
I think for me that would, well, I'm sure for many people that would just be absolute torture. Now I'd get through one ream of paper for each chapter. I think probably with the make. We'll get the white
and the
stuff
more
out. Yeah.
and the number of errors per page just shoots up. That's typically, I know in the college classroom we've looked at it. Typically college writers should only have one error per page, but that doesn't include typing in this day and age. It's grammar or spelling, which again you have the tools to fix that now.
Yeah, that makes life a lot easier, and obviously not having to print it out every single time as well. It'd be good.
Yeah,
with Thunder Moon Tussle, what was your process for that? How long did it take you to write your first draft?
Approximately 9 months to get it completed, and I probably edited it for another 6 to 8 months. While I was
is that 6 to 8 or 6 to 8?
6 to 8.
I can't stop myself telling that joke whenever people ask me that.
Exactly.
I dive into it all the time.
Well, and it came very late in my wanting to write. I mean, I had started writing for a long time, but I kind of transitioned about 8 years ago from writing as a hobby to treating it as a second job.
Yeah,
and I think that was transitional to actually getting some things accomplished, because as a hobby, there's a lot of things that will end up in front of your hobby. I'm tired. I want to sit down and watch TV, or I got this other thing I want to do too.
TV, is it? That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And treating it as a part-time job made things that much easier to stay on task. However many hours it takes. I mean, if it takes you an hour to write 250 words, your novel at 20 hours a week, that's 10 weeks. So, obviously not everyone can write that fast, and I can't certainly, but I make the effort and do it based off of a schedule as though I was at a job, rather than just letting the whim of the moment carry me.
Yeah. Have you heard of NaNoWriMo?
I have.
So I used NaNoWriMo to write one of my books, and it sort of really does sort of focus the mind to make sure you're writing every single day. It's quite intense. It's quite intense. Did you ever go on NaNoWriMo? Did you? Or?
I actually didn't. My job actually gets the busiest during the month of November. So I've never been able to. But what I do, I'm able to do is during the holidays in December, I'm able to kind of punch through and do my version of that.
Yeah.
Obviously not at the rate that's done in NaNoWriMo. I write differently than that, but it's with my intention to try to push through as well as I can.
Yeah, I think as far as the complete writing process, when you get into the editing phase, we talked just before we came on air. You haven't used a traditional editor, and you've gone through a writing group. How did you come to join that writing group?
Well, basically started visiting with some people online, and we ended up coalescing into a writing group that kind of we were all at the same point in our writing at the same time. None of us had been published before, and all of us was heading towards that. Excuse me.
Yeah, I did similar for my first novel. I think it's important to get sort of impartial feedback, and I think having the writing group with people that you don't particularly know on a face-to-face basis is a benefit. Is a benefit.
It really is, because initially they were just trying to be nice, but then they got very tough with me, and I did with them as well. But I think all of our works has improved dramatically since we started that, and that's been going on onwards of 7 years now. I think we've been
that's good. I think
with
because as much as having a professional editor is the best thing for your work, it can be expensive. And
Yeah.
when things are just kicking off, there's a profit and loss situation, and it can be an expensive route. And clearly, you've gone through that route without a pro editor, and it's still possible to produce good stuff. I think I've said on some of my interviews, some works I've seen that have gone through publishing houses, and I spot a lot of errors and inconsistencies in the writing. So a professional editor isn't guaranteed to do that. I think it certainly increases your chances massively, but it's not a 100% guarantee. And then self publishing with Amazon was your route.
Yes, I did.
I've heard recently about Kobo. One of our previous guests, I think it's Annie Acorn, mentioned Kobo had been very good for her. So I've recently gone to Kobo, which is very popular in Canada, I understand.
Oh, okay.
So it may be worth sort of jumping in there and sort of reaching out to sci-fi readers. But what would you say your biggest challenge is at the moment?
I think what's actually quite interesting is I've been working on the second novel, and I've set it aside a couple of times. But to tell you the truth, the Thunder Moon Tussle was actually a prequel to a already fairly well established novel.
Yeah.
And it went its own way. Thunder Moon, basically, the characters in Thunder Moon, once I knew who they were and what they were doing, took me to a place that wasn't useful for what I had written for the first novel.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing.
So
I'm laughing because everybody I've spoke to has said exactly the same, and it's the same. It's the same for me, really. Once you've developed your characters, the characters take over and write the story.
That's really true.
And take it in. Even if you've plotted your story, they can still take you in a different direction. And that's the wonder of creativity, isn't it? The characters in the mind sort of take you to a new direction.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah. That process has just been so amazing for me, and as a result of the second novel that I'd written a version of it before, realized I needed a prequel to establish some character background, and that's what Thunder Moon Tussle ended up being. And now I'm working on the Mask of the Joyful Moon, and it's had to be gone through a couple of rewrites so far, and it's really plotting issues that are really the struggle right now. But
you initially a pantser, I guess. Then
say again.
You were initially a pantser, then sort of just getting the characters and letting it run, or do you sort of do an element of plotting?
Well, I do an element of plotting because I kind of understand what the story is that I need to tell, and roughly how I have to tell it. I mean, the three act play is a very useful thing to plot out a story. It works at so many different scales. It's amazing. I feel that Thunder Moon is a 3 act play, basically. though it's close to 60,000 words. And then I've got a short story I just finished up that's under 10,000 words. It's still a 3-act play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
so
I think most scenarios sort of fit into that system. That's good. The you're still working? Are you still working full time or?
yes, I am. I'm still working full time as an engineer.
And
So yeah.
that provides some challenges then, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It every once in a while things get crazy, and I end up having to work overtime, and so it everything kind of comes to a halt as far as writing is concerned when I deal with my first job, and that was actually one of the reasons why I decided to head down the my 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 own route to self-publishing rather than working with the publishing houses, because I felt like I would miss deadlines. I could not, really negotiate a contract that I could meet
Yeah.
necessarily, because they would always be second fiddle to my primary profession.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to look after the money first, haven't you?
Oh,
Make sure the people that are paying you the most looked after the most.
oh,
That's
absolutely.
a clear way to go. Does that lead to one of my favourite questions? Procrastination. Is that does that grab you often?
Uh, it does in some respects, that it will take me down the path of working on something that I wasn't intending on working. And sometimes that can be distracting. But one of the things that you got to look at from your own personal mind, will ignoring that be worse?
Yeah.
So if this thing that you need to work on, that has got your attention, if that can be completed in a day or so, and then you can get back on task to the much bigger task and take care of it, get it out of your hair.
I'm a bit like that. I think if I have a to-do list, writing will be in most cases the last thing, because I need to
Mhm.
get other stuff done and get my mind clear. Once my shelf is empty, then I can really focus on what I'm doing.
Right, and
The,
it has to be a to-do list of, from the professional level, right? All the things that you have to do, uh, you know, for your jobs and your personal life,
and
get them
family, yeah.
taken, yep, get those taken care of, and the writing has to be next, and then entertainment type activities after. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course rest time as well. I think quite often I get to 7 p.m. at night, and
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to be writing at that point. I'm ready to sort of unwind. So
Hmm.
trying to get it done during the day is the ideal situation. But of course, with yourself, if you've been working all day, it is hard to start again, isn't it? I think as as we get to how can I put this politely? As we get to a little bit older, um, your energy level for starting again when you get home from work is difficult.
Yeah, I actually recently found a way of dealing with that, uh, I also found that there's some justification about human physiology that seems to support this. That we think of the human being sleeping a solid 8 hours a day, 8 hours a night, and then having a 16-hour day. But that's a post-industrial activity schedule. Apparently, uh, there was a significant use of both the siesta in some countries, and early evening sleep, and waking up again and doing other things.
Ah, got yeah,
Was
okay. Maybe I
it
should
was
try that. Maybe I should try that.
and it's something that is supported with literature about pre-industrial societies in Europe and elsewhere. that no, they didn't function on what we think of as the dawn to dusk type
Yeah,
activity schedule.
I think connected with that, I think you need to switch off from one thing to be able to switch on to something else. I think just making a switch, change is as good as a rest, does work to a point, but can be difficult. I think coming on to sales and gaining traction, obviously coming on shows like this is good,
Yes.
and we love all our viewers, of course, who must subscribe and follow all the authors that we have coming on. So that'll be good. But
Yeah.
when we're trying to gain traction, we get bombardment of book promotion offers, and I think we've all had some of those, haven't we? It's a difficult balance, isn't it?
It is. We've we discussed this a little bit before we come online, but what we have found is that the book promoters, yes, they are honestly trying to do what they want to do, but really what it boils down to from us as authors, what are the results?
Yeah.
And so far, my experience with that has been the results don't match the hype that has been made.
Yeah.
It really boils down to, you know, uh, you know, uh, how many people actually read the first few chapters that are provided for free on Amazon, uh, or how many people actually make that purchase. That's really the measurement. And if you have no evidence that any of that has happened during a promotional campaign, it basically means that the promotion was ineffective.
Yeah. The thing is, I think as we sort of touched on before we came on air, as I say, the in some cases the promoter has done everything they say they would do, and they've done a very good job of targeting the audience, understanding the book, and putting it out into the right areas. And then whether that gains sales or not, they've done their job and done a very good job of doing that. But I think there's also a lot of copycat people trying to do that without as you say, without gaining knowledge about what they're actually trying to promote, and just trying to take money and helping with the buyer, hoping that it's going to generate sales. And I've looked at some of these and spoke to some people on it, and when you dig into the detail, there's not very much behind them in some cases. But my way of dealing with these is always to suggest to the promoter that we'll have a 50-50 split on any sales. But they seem to fall out of love with that idea very quickly.
Yes. Well, they see it as an upfront fee that they say, okay, we get X amount of dollars for promoting your work, and the success of that campaign is really undetermined.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I think I'm actually looking at it from the standpoint of is that when people cold contact me nowadays, I start thinking about, okay, what sort of homework have they done on this cold contact?
Yeah.
What is this a boilerplate letter? If it is, I'll ignore it. Or if they're doing so, just cold contact, sending me an instant message on social media.
Yeah.
And they're asking me about my book, and my book's been advertised on my homepage of the social media, and they're not even aware of that. That usually is just sort of, okay, tell me that you've done your homework before you ask me to part with my dollars.
Yeah. It'd be nice the people that are listening and watching this to give me some examples of people that have done promotions for them that have been very successful, and that would be
Yeah,
good.
that
I
would
think
be very helpful. Yeah,
that'd be helpful for everybody, for all us budding authors. The best route perhaps is the traditional publishing route, because you do get your traction and get your book out there far more. So I think what I'm doing with my my new series is I'm going out to literary agents and publishers to sort of take that route, to sort of try and gain more traction. And that's a tough and a longer route, but I think it's one that if we're going to gain traction, we need to go down that route.
Yeah, or at least find the equivalent on the self-publish again. You know,
Yeah, well, the
actually,
thing,
yeah, and there are some things that I've been offered to, yeah, but it's well outside of my financial envelope to purchase those sorts of services. You know,
yeah,
and when you've got the sales that are just now in the teens, you're not looking to spend thousands to
no, no.
yeah,
The thing is,
improve that.
as much as we love and believe in our stories,
Hmm.
it's not wise to spend a large amount on advertising and editors, um, and unless you have a big disposable income that you can work that with. It is tough. It is tough because I firmly believe that an editor would have improved my first series,
Hmm.
but would that have generated more sales than it has already? And would the profit loss situation have coped with that?
Exactly. You know, and one of the things that I mean, this advice is probably 30 years old now, that we reviewed in college. Uh, uh, that often the publishing houses, when they accept your first one, they're hoping that there's a couple others that are finished that you've been peddling around that haven't been accepted. And I think the hope is that getting that book out, but also having those sequels out there to generate that name recognition immediately.
Yeah,
You know, I could have held off publishing Thunder Moon and waited until I had its sequel and maybe the book after that done. I chose not to do that way, but a lot of what it really boils down to is when people see what you're interested, that see something that interests them, they want more, and
yeah,
to already have that body of work out there probably is really the key.
yeah. I think part of the route that we're on is also developing the craft.
Hmm.
But yes, you're quite right. I think in order to gain traction, quite often an author will produce sort of 10, maybe 20 books before they really get traction. And I think, just from my point of view, the profit and loss situation we talk about with advertising, if I'm paying for a certain amount of clicks for an ad, the positive result from that is someone buys that book. But if you've only got one book that they can buy, you're very unlikely to get a profit out of that situation. But if
Right.
you have 3, 5, 10 books, and someone clicks on that ad, reads that one book, and then goes on to read the rest because they like your work,
Hmm.
then the profit comes from that. But if you've only got one book out there, what's the upside of the agreement?
Yeah, it's not really there, but and it just I'd encourage everyone to just keep on going.
Yeah,
Whether you're traditional or self-published, keep on going, put work out there for people to see.
yeah,
For instance, I've taken a substantial amount of my short works short fiction and started putting them on my website just for free to give the reader an opportunity to see what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's important to have a website like you have, and have constant product on there that people can refer to and people can read. I found that my first 3 novels I produced, I've several of my readers are saying, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to a point where the 3rd one came out, and then that was the full series was finished, and I've started working on another series. But rather than putting that straight out there, I want to get involved with the agents and the
Mm-hmm.
publishers, so I'm sort of holding off on that. So I'm working on another project as well, which I'll probably self-publish just to sort of satisfy my readers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all part of that game, isn't it? To satisfy the customers, but we just want more customers, don't we? More readers. That's
Yeah, and it's a slow process. It really is winning your audience one person at a time.
yeah. And
It's
the thing
really
is, the thing is, the book's out there, and people sort of ask a question of sort of, oh, your first book, how many did that sell? And the answer is, I don't know, because it's still available and people are still
Mhm.
buying it. So you won't know. You won't know.
That's exactly it. You won't know. Yeah.
Torn, that has been fantastic. We've sort of run out of time, which is normal. Wish you the best with your writing, and we'll talk again, no doubt. And
Yes, thank you very much, Simon. I really appreciated this opportunity, and I'd love to talk again.
it's great if you just send me your links, and I'll put them in the description so people can check out your work. That would be excellent.
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
if you've enjoyed the Budding or the podcast, like, comment, and subscribe. And we've got plenty more interviews to come, plenty more writing tips and advice. And it's been great talking to you, Torn. Thank you very much.
Yep,
Cheers.
you're welcome.
Bye all.
Take care.
Thanks.